This is the solution video for section 4.2, problem number 5. All right, so in section 4.2, it says, determine if f satisfies the conditions for the mean value theorem, and if so, find the value of c. All right, so first of all, f of x is x cubed minus 2x squared plus x plus 3. So certainly this is going to be continuous on the interval -1 to 1 because there are no holes, jumps, asymptotes, anything like that. All right, so we can say that f is continuous. All right, so that's good. All right, now differentiable. So now we want to consider the derivative, f prime of x. So 3x squared minus 4x plus 1. All right, so this is a quadratic. So, of course, this is going to be defined everywhere from -1 to 1. And so we can say that f is going to be differentiable. All right, so now, okay, if f is continuous on the closed interval and differentiable upon the open interval, then the mean value theorem applies, which means that there must be at least one value of c on the interval -1 to 1, such that f prime of c is equal to f of b minus f of a over b minus a. All right, and so we want to set f prime of c, so 3c squared minus 4c plus 1 equal to f of b, which is f of 1, minus f of a, which is -1, over 1 minus -1. All right, and so now we need to evaluate f of 1. So f of 1 is 1 cubed minus 2 times 1 squared plus 1 plus 3. All right, so that would be 1 minus 2 plus 1 plus 3. 1 minus 2 is -1 plus 1 is 0 plus 3 is 3. So f of 1 is 3. All right, so next, f of -1. All right, f of -1 is -1 cubed minus 2 times -1 squared plus -1 plus 3. All right, so -1 cubed is -1, minus 2 times -1 squared, that would be -2 minus 1 plus 3. So -1 minus 2 is -3, minus 1 is -4, plus 3 is -1. So I have 3 minus -1 over 1 minus -1 is 2. 3 minus -1, that would be 3 plus 1 is 4. 4 over 2 is 2. So I have 3c squared minus 4c plus 1. 3c squared minus 4c plus 1 equals 2. So this is a quadratic, so I'm going to subtract 2. So I get 3c squared minus 4c minus 1 equals 0. So now my goal would be to factor. Okay, and so 3c and c. Now, a lot of times people are like, oh, this is 1 and 1. This is great. 1c, and 3 times 1 is, well, 1 plus 3 is 4. But the fact is that this is a minus 1. So you can't have a negative and a negative here, right? Because that would become a plus 1. So this is not factorable. So now we need to complete the square. All right, so we complete the square. All right, so that means I'm going to factor out the 3. So I'm going to have c squared minus 4/3 c plus blank minus blank, and then I've got the minus 1 on the outside. All right, so how do we fill in this first blank? We take half of 4/3, which is 2/3, squared, which is 4/9. All right, then we remember that the plus 4/9 is actually 3 times 4/9, which would be 4/3. So then we subtract 4/3. So I have 3 times c minus 2/3 quantity squared, and then minus 4/3 minus 1, so that'd be minus 4/3 minus 3/3, which is minus 7/3 equals 0. So now I'm going to I'm going to add 7/3 and divide by 3. So I get c minus 2/3 squared equals 7/3 divided by 3. So that'd be like multiplying by 1/3. So I get 7/9. So then I'm going to square root. So c minus 2/3 equals plus or minus the square root of 7/9, which would be the square root of 7 over 3. All right, and then I'm going to add 2/3. And so now I get that c is equal to 2/3 plus or minus the square root of 7 over 3. All right, so now we were told that our interval is -1 to 1. So -1 to 1 is 2/3 plus the square root of 7/3 in between -1 and 1, and is 2/3 minus the square root of 7/3 in between -1 and 1. All right, so first of all, 2/3, okay, is 0.6 repeating, plus the square root of 7/3. Well, the square root of 7, what is that? Well, it's between 2 and 3. So if I take 2/3 plus 2/3, that would be 4/3, right? And root 7/3 is bigger than that, and so it would be bigger than 1. So the plus is not in the interval, but what about the minus? So 2/3 minus the square root of 7/3. Well, if I take 2/3 minus something slightly bigger than 2/3, we would get a negative number. But is it less than -1? The answer is no, because then it would have to be greater than 5/3, which it is not. And so 2/3 minus the square root of 7/3.